Mike Dooley, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you, Cathy, for having me. It's really an honor.
You know, the thing is that not only had I been following your work, but do you know how many people send me your stuff just all the time? It's like you reverberate in this world in such a powerful way.
That is so awesome to hear. I've been doing it for 21 years. I'm glad the word's gotten out there, but every time somebody shares something like that, it's just like, yeah, wow, this dream took off and it's soaring.
It's unbelievable. And I'm a Florida person, grew up here. My sister's a Gator. I'm not going to hold it against you. I went to Florida State. Like
Oh, I'm
I
sorry.
couldn't get into UF, okay? I couldn't get in. But when I found out how you started, right? Like,
Yeah.
you were working as a tax specialist, and then yeah, it's such a natural progression that you would start this unbelievable space of healing, right, for the world. What the heck happened there? Like, how did all that happen?
Yeah, I think it's such good evidence that if there's a will, there's a way. You don't have to see the path. You don't have to see it to be it. I just wrote a recent note from the universe. The universe can see it, physically see it. You just have to kind of feel and know what you want. I wanted to be an entrepreneur, and my passion was metaphysics, the nature of reality. And I knew I didn't want to stay in public accounting anymore.
Yeah,
As
I
much as I
cannot
had
see you in there.
no, I know. I mean, the guy who writes notes from the universe for 21 years was a CPA, is a CPA, tax specialist. But, I leapt, and that was really, really one of the biggest challenges of my life, to leave a cushy job with a really great firm, PricewaterhouseCoopers today, and not know what was coming next. It's like setting off in a GPS guided journey, which parallels metaphysics so well. It's the end result. My end result was entrepreneur, love my life. The universe is like, I know how to do that, but I didn't know how to do it, but the universe knew how to do it. But you got to put your car in gear. The universe knows how, GPS knows how, put your car in gear. But if you don't know how to get there, you feel, and we so over rely on logic and intellect and our physical senses, that if you can't see it, can't touch it, it might not be there. It might not work out. And this is where all the, old religious doctrines of faith come into play. They're trying to understand, and they did a pretty good job, the nature of reality, enough to deduce that, you create that image in your mind, whether it's prayer or creative visualization, and then you have faith. And even though it looks like it's not working, you keep moving, and the pieces of the puzzle come together. And the next thing you know, I'm selling t-shirts with my brother, which makes no sense, except the t-shirts that sell the best are the ones with writing on them. So I became the writer of metaphysical truths, believe in your dreams, carpe diem, picture in your mind, all this stuff. And for 10 years, we sold many boatloads of Tut t-shirts, which became Totally Unique Thoughts, tut.com. And when we kind of wound down that business, the trends were not good. The competition was becoming scary as we entered the year 2000. I was left with all these writings, and I started feeling so low myself, like, what am I going to do next? How did this happen to me, of all people? I know thoughts become things. I know metaphysics. I remember thinking, I wish I could receive some kind of reassurance every day by computer. An email was newish, and I started sending out my writings that used to go on t-shirts, flip happy turns of phrases, out as emails. And those evolved into notes from the universe. And those took on a life of their own, a cottage industry, world tours, 17 books, audio programs, online courses, and hanging out with you, Cathy.
You're so adorable. And just so my audience gets this, I read that you started out sending those to 38 email addresses. Like, did you?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
now there's millions of people have read that.
Yeah.
So, wow. It's everything you
Yeah.
just said. Thoughts become things, right? It's just the power of what happens when something is coming from that genuine place, that flow state. It's just wow, how that resonated. Unbelievable.
There's magic, we are magic. We're of the magic. The magic is here for us. We're not afterthoughts. We're the first thought. We're the eyes and ears of God come alive in the dream of life. It's supposed to be easy. We're supposed to figure it out. Many have. And, it's just like happily ever after.
Okay, so now what was your big aha? What was your big awakening? Did you just kind of always know all of these things? Was it a sort of a journey? Was there
Hmm.
a particular teacher? Was there a particular trip? Like where did it come? Where did the truth kind of get access for you?
Well, I give credit to my mom. She got me into competitive sports, competitive tennis. Not that I'm a big believer in competition because it can go so far and there's a winner or a loser and there's the dark side of competition. But she got me out there off the street doing stuff and had me in doing creative visualization, all this woo woo and books, the inner game of tennis, and psycho-cybernetics, and that was happening to me, and I was learning about the power of positive thinking. At the same time, I was asking, in my teenage years, why are we here? What's the point? Where are we going? Everybody dies. Are you kidding? Everyone's gonna die. And like, why? And I would ask a lot of those questions that truly we all ask. And at the same time, finding out the power of our thoughts. And then mom being a bookworm, when I was in college and I was doing well with my life, tennis went by the wayside, but I wanted to do better. And I was kind of in this crises mode of, what's the point? I mean, really, we just kind of run around and see if we're good enough to be picked for heaven. That's so juvenile. It didn't make sense then, doesn't make sense now. And when you're asking big questions, Cathy, you're attracting big answers. We are all truly magnets, however huffy flighty that might sound. There is this law of attraction. It works with cars, it works with partners, and it works with ideas. And my mom was of the same ilk all my life. We were very, very close. And she started attracting books, let's put it in those terms. And one book would show up after another about the power of our thinking, about metaphysics, the Seth material by Jane Roberts, Ramtha by J.Z. Knight, Richard Bach, Hermann Hesse. And these books are talking the same language about, that we are powerful otters, the playful creatures of the universe, sparks of God. Why? Because we could, because it's awesome, because we're showered in love every single day, because we're really safe no matter how scared we are. And nothing can go bad no matter what our physical senses tell us. And that doesn't deny the ugly and the hideous. It's everywhere. But it does put order and meaning that would otherwise escape the physical senses into the picture. And given our eternal nature, and that we come back many times, and that we choose our lifetimes, and that there are realms beyond, suddenly it's not so serious. It's even more exalted, but it's not so serious. And you can live and follow your heart and be happy and a light into the world. And so that's kind of how it all went from tennis and positive thinking to wondering about the meaning of life to living a rocking life.
What I'm amazed by is how much enthusiasm you can generate. And you've been doing this for so long. And it's just so, it's like, it's so endearing and awesome and beautiful and adorable and amazing that like you really are this, like you are so plugged into love that every time you get to be love or share love, you get just as excited. And it's like, you've been doing this and saying these words. And they're like, I could feel when you were just doing that, it was like you were dancing for the first time. Like, this just is so cool, isn't it? And it's just
Oh,
like, it feels so good. And that's why people love you, because it's such a genuine expression of it. And so
Thank you very much, Kathy.
I'm
it
just
is a
reflecting it,
dance.
just
Thank
reflecting it.
you. Well, I kind of feel like, but isn't it all so
Yeah,
cool?
it
And
is.
it has always lit me up. It's always been my thing. I never really even dreamed so wild that it could be my means for living the life of my dreams. I thought I would use the truths that we were discovering, mom, my brother and sister. I thought I would use them to be the entrepreneur, to do these external things. Never dreamed that it would be kind
Right.
of the motor, that I would be a teacher, writer, speaker, world traveler. I mean, before COVID, I would do world tours, literally every continent but Antarctica, and twice a year take groups of 50 to 150 people to Tahiti or Peru or Cairo or Alaska. And
That is so cool. It's
and I
awesome.
yeah, it went from really taking this selfishly, like I can do that, I can live my dreams, and just like that's all that I cared about, to you get to live your dreams, and it's like your dreams evolve as you start seeing more of the world around you as you, and you see yourself and other people and you feel them in you. It's like your dreams become more and more of service.
Yeah.
And it's like now service is like the coolest thing. It's like the best kept secret, not selfless service. I like to discern, but selfish service. Do it your way, when you're ready, on your terms. And there's just nothing cooler than like planting seeds of hope and possibilities in the hearts and minds of other folks. I speak in jails, I speak in shelters. I've got programs getting other people doing that. Whether I reach somebody from a paid platform or a free platform, I'm going to see from the other side of the
Yeah.
curtains of time and space one day the difference in the trajectory of someone's life and happiness, because I got to be the person who was there when they were ready. It's
That's
not
right.
about me. It's about, wow. And each of us smiling to a stranger, lending a helping hand, or more, obviously, can make such a difference in the lives of others. And in doing so, we change our own lives. And that
Yeah.
becomes palpable the further down the path you go, to the point where it's like what you most care about.
Yes, absolutely. I really do feel like that which we give away is that which we receive the most. The more you love your child, you give, give, give. You love
Yeah.
them so much because of what you give, give, give. So you said before, I mean, there's just so many things to unpack that are all so beautiful and juicy. But one of the things that you said is thoughts become things. And the reason why I want to talk about it for a second is because it feels to me like a lot of the questions I get asked boil down to one question, which people ask all the time, which is, what am I supposed to do? And I feel like one of the things that I hear often is, who am I supposed to be? Right. And instead
Mm.
of like, oh, this is the steps and the strategy, it's like, do you understand how much by tapping into how you're thinking and feeling, you could do so much? And so I want to let you kind of like talk about that and hear how you would approach that. If somebody said to you, well, what does that mean? Thoughts become things. Just tell me what to do. What does it mean that I could sit and think and thoughts would become things more than the steps?
Oh my goodness. Exciting stuff. The one implication in there that I'd want to address right off the bat is, what am I supposed to do, or who am I supposed to be? And just so that everybody knows, it's like, you know, God most wanted to be you, to see what would happen, or call it the divine, or call it the
Love that
universe or
line.
source energy.
Love
So
that line.
you are who God still most wants to be, given that you're alive. And I'm speaking to any and every listener now, or in the recorded version. And the baton has been passed. We have been given the gifts of the gods. Our thoughts become things. Our words literally give us wings. And so from here, it's like, let's see what happens in this love game where everything is here for you. So to think, well, should I be a butcher, baker, candlestick maker? What's my niche? Your niche is being you. It doesn't matter what hat you wear. It doesn't matter what clothes you wear. It doesn't matter what school you go to, what profession you pick or how long you wait on the sidelines, that's all juice for God that would never be experienced in any other way than if you existed. So you are that priceless window into reality, into creation that has never existed before. So you're enough. You're done. Now, as you percolate and assimilate and wonder, there will be dreams implanted. This is unavoidable. Dreams are coming if they're not there already. And you're going to wonder what it's like to go here or go there, try this or try that. And when you zero in on this looks like where I want to go, this is when you understand that there could be no shorter path than that crafted or forced by the thoughts you think. So this is where thoughts become things, creative visualization, way more than a cool way of looking at life, positive thinking. It's not a way of looking at life. It's how life unwraps itself, based on our chosen focus. Our thoughts literally, not figuratively, become the things and events of our lives. We are streaming manifestors. Right now, we are just creating this the way we create a nighttime dream. And a nighttime dream, do you know you're creating it? No, it would ruin the whole dream. And neither do you realize you're creating this right now, because it would ruin the whole getup. It's deliberately hidden that while you observe, you know not that you are the projector at the same time. But all you need to know, and you don't have to unravel that, figure all that out. It's way too complicated for a brain. All you need to know is that it's you. It's all revolving around you and your chosen focus. And then rather than a spontaneous manifestation in the way somebody might look for a rabbit out of a hat, we draw ourselves to the nearest rabbit in a hat. And lo and behold, through a series of coincidences, we've got our rabbit, or our wealth and abundance, or health and healing, friends and laughter, international travel partner to go with it. So thoughts becoming things is the end all. It is the be all. It is everything. There is karma, but it's not an absolute law. It's a phenomenon. There are ancient spiritual contracts. None override your free will in the moment to focus on something else. God's will was to be you. God's not deciding what happens to who next, when, and where. There's just you and your thoughts. And so choose them wisely. I like to share, say. And when it comes to wanting to bring transformation in your life, you get to pick your priorities. I really want it to be money and then love, or health and then love, or love and then money. You pick it. It's all good. It's all spiritual. It's all spiritual. There's nothing not spiritual. So you pick it. And the way you spark the transformation is you define in your mind through your imagination, or draw it out, or write it out, or script it out. There's lots of wiggle room. The desired end results. So you might visualize, I'm living in the lap of luxury. I'm flying me and my 12 best friends to London on Virgin Atlantic, lay flat sleeper seats. We're going to go have tea with the Queen. We're going to go to Buckingham Palace. We're going to go here, there, and then to, Amalfi in the Mediterranean when we're done. I mean, of course, life is more than just lollygagging around, but there's nothing wrong with lollygagging. When you come back, you can write your 20th book, or get on stage, or meet with Oprah Winfrey. You create the picture in your mind, and you imagine it as if it's already happened. You don't imagine, now how am I going to get to London? Now how am I going to make all that money? Now how am I going to find 12 friends? You just imagine it's done. Forget what I call the cursed hows. As soon as you think, this is how I'll write the book and Oprah will love it, I'll be a bestseller, I'll make $1 million, then my life will come together, you've just slammed shut the door on an infinite number of other, better, faster ways that your big dreams of travel, friendship, service could have come true. We're not going to exclude your book idea. We're not going to exclude any hows, but don't attach to nor micromanage the hows, nor the whos, nor the wheres, nor the whens. Just in your mind, or scripting it, or drawing it, go to your desired end result. Once a day, 3 or 4 minutes, feel the emotion, the joy, and then let it go. Get back to the here and now, rock what you've already done, who you already are, make the most of every day, smile to strangers, be the first one to show up at work, be responsible, be thoughtful, be caring. It's all going to come back to you. But tomorrow you're going to visualize again. And then You're going to start making baby steps. You're going to call a travel agent. You don't have the money. You don't have the friends, but just price that trip to London on a lay flat, sleeper sleep. Demonstrate to your inner witness, this is happening. And then a few days later, find out the schedule for Buckingham Palace. A few days later, find out the Amalfi Coast itinerary. A few days later, maybe think about that, starting your own company that you've always been thinking about. A few days later, always be looking for little inroads. You don't even have to spend money, just inroads to demonstrate this is more than wishful thinking, that you're serious, and your inner witness doesn't know what the hell's going on, but it prepares all systems for change. And then as you continue with this, even though at first nothing's happening, prepare to be astounded.
Oh my gosh. This is why you've been speaking all over the world. Your speaking is music. It's a symphony. Every note. It's like it's like
Cathy.
the bells come in, and then the violin, and it's just like, oh my God, it all gets it's so many people are attempting to say these kinds of things, but when you say it, it's an immediate, it goes right in. People can access it. It's beautiful. It's brilliant. So let me ask you this. So I've heard this said before, that we don't attract what we want. We attract what we are. So
ooh, where have you been? That's very good.
I heard Gabby Bernstein say that recently, and I've been repeating what she said. But my question to you is, because it's so juicy and it's so good what you just said, and people are probably right now wanting to replay that or scribble down the notes, or they've heard you say it before and they've been so like, yes, that's it. And right, then they come back to this place of, this is what I want, and it's over there. And then they get caught into, if thoughts become things, they get caught into that auto program of a lot of negative thinking and a lot of limited thinking and a lot of the illusion of scarcity and all of that. So the big question for a lot of people is, if I want to be in the place of being able to let it go and not still standing in lack and standing in scarcity and keep being pulled back into that place, because I'm just going to keep then wanting something that's over there. That by definition means I feel, I don't really believe in it so much if it's something that's over there and I'm over here, right? So I get what she means. We don't attract what we want, we attract what we are. So how do you help people to close the gap in their thinking so that they can be in alignment with those beautiful, powerful atom bombs of desires, rather than standing in lack, wanting an atom bomb of a desired thought, and then going back and forth between those two, because you're not going to necessarily get that far?
That actually kind of brings us to a quandary and a predicament, a conundrum that all deliberate manifestors have. And it doesn't seem like everybody shares it. It always seems kind of unique to us. Like we're kind of disadvantaged. Not everybody knows that, but it's this: you want wealth and abundance because you don't have it. You're surrounded by lack. You really are. Whether it is more of who you are, and I'll talk to pattern interrupt in just a minute, but you want a travel partner because you're lonely. You want a great career because the one you have sucks, if you even have it. And it seems like, everybody else wants, a little bit more, a little bit of what they already have. But me, I've got back pain and I want health, but I can't imagine being pain-free given the pain that I'm now in. So every manifestor, everyone, not just you, is at this crossroads of wanting transformation, big or small, because that which they want is not yet there. And when you learn the truth that you don't get what you want, you don't get what you need. You get more of what you are. And I give props to Sarah Landon, a friend of mine, that put it that eloquently. You get more of who you are. It's like, well, where I'm at is not so damn good, and I don't want more of nothing and more loneliness, more pain in my back. How do you break that pattern?
Right.
Couple of things here. Pattern interrupt. This is what free will is. This is the gift of free will. What does it matter? This is what it matters. You can change your thinking in spite of circumstances, in spite of your surroundings, in spite of what's going on right now. All you've got to do is think a little bit of positive in spite of the negative. Think a little bit of pain-free in the midst of pain. Think about abundance, even though you're staring lack and empty cupboards square in the face. Your ability to pattern interrupt, combined with the the fact that we live in a non-neutral universe. This is one of my favorite talking points of late, Cathy. Thanks for the opportunity. When people come into truth, they light up. Like, okay, there's a law of attraction. Okay, I'm not being judged. Okay, there's enough for everyone. There's like light up. And then they think, oh, wait a minute, I just had some negative thoughts. I'm carrying on that argument, even though I'm so happy. And now I don't have any money to pay. Oh, it's never going to break. Oh, now I'm worried. And thoughts become things. You get more of what you think about. And I'm this like doom and gloom train. Oh, I'll never get there. So they go from euphoria to like just the dumpster, like, oh, this is for everyone else but me.
Yes.
You know, because I could never be that positive. I could never,
yes.
you know, hold on to the vision. See, that they make this mistake. Just because we live in a non-judgmental world, which is part of the reason for their euphoria. Oh, I'm not going to hell. You know, I'm being blessed and loved for who I am. The universe understands the trials and tribulations I faced and that I did the best I could. You know, they go from, okay, I live in a non-judgmental world to thoughts become things. You think blue, you get blue. You think pink, you get pink. You think high, you get high. You think yellow, you get, all of a sudden they're taking this non-judgment to their manifestations. They're thinking that because it's a non-judgmental source energy that we live amongst, that the universe doesn't give a flying crap what we manifest. You can have it all, pink, blue, yellow, up, down, left, right. But that's not the case. We are of the divine, by the divine. We are pure divine. We're not guinea pigs. We're not some external prop. We're not some, you know, detached creature. We are God come alive. We are, the truth is, this tidal wave, part of this intergalactic joyful tidal wave careening through eternity. And we decided to just check out these sacred hallowed jungles of time and space because they're beautiful, because we could, because our friends are going to be there. And so when we show up as the divine, within the divine, all being played out in the heart of the divine. Why? Because it would be fun, because it's cool, because we're born to thrive, because we're God Almighty. And then we think a thought like, you know, I'm a dummy and I don't like math and people don't want to be with me. Those will always be big lies, no matter what the evidence has shown you so far. But when you think, I'm pretty cool, I get that stuff, I'll figure it out. Well, hell yeah, you'll figure it out. You're freaking God Almighty come alive playing this game of amnesia for the joy and the thrill of it. There could be no joy or thrill if you didn't remember. So when you think thoughts in alignment with truth, which is not to make judgmental, otherwise called positive thoughts. Now, you know, my positive might be somebody's negative, but generally we're on the same page. I'm not trying to get into judgment. So let's just say instead of positive, when you think thoughts in alignment with truth, truth is I'm abundant, I'm forever, I'm all powerful, all things are possible. When you think thoughts in that alignment, oh my God, it's like fireworks. It's like popcorn. They're just manifesting everywhere. When you think thoughts out of alignment with truth that we typically refer to as negative, pessimistic, you know, I'm bad, it's no good, I don't deserve it, I'm broken, I'm a sinner, God's angry, blah, blah, blah. Those thoughts are hard as heck to become things because they're not in alignment with the magnificence and the beauty that is the truth of who you are and why you're here. So going back to the pattern interrupt, you're having a bad day, you're surrounded by lack, your friends don't exist, and your ankle, you know, makes you wobble. If you pattern interrupt with a little bit of positivity and you imagine yourself being pain-free, even in the midst of pain, you imagine having friends and flying to London, even though you don't have the money today or the friends today, that little bit of clarity in alignment with your nature of magnificence and infinite possibilities and love. We don't live in a non-neutral. We don't live in a neutral universe. We do not live in a neutral. Neutral implies the universe doesn't care. True, there's no judgment, but that doesn't mean it doesn't care. We live in a non-neutral. It's like the deck is so stacked. It's like cheating. It's like life is so not fair. I'll tell audiences at the end of the day, because it's like your thoughts become things, your words give you wings, you're pushed on to greatness, you have elements and angels and guardians and galore. No matter what happens, it's inside the heart of God. You're gonna win. Life is not fair. It's like you're cheating every day. And so you combine this with our ability through free will to pattern interrupt, to
Yes.
create an image, as I said, followed up with a little playful demonstration, being cheerful, making the best of what you got from where you are. You become this. No wonder we see success stories and that from the most unlikely people sometimes. They're not the sharpest tools in the shed. They didn't go to the best schools if they even finished school. They're not even nice sometimes because it doesn't matter. We're all pre-qualified. They had the audacity to believe. They had the audacity to dream. They had the audacity to show up when everybody else said, this isn't working. It's like, no, it's going to work. It's me. And the universe is like, yeah, we're going to do this. And so there's enough for everyone. We're all here to learn the lessons of our power and the beauty and the love that's everywhere. No one is ever held back. No one is penalized. No one is punished. There are tangent talks here about, what about evil people? What about bad things? What about hurt and sorrow? There's not always an explanation to put a smiley face on those things, but there's always an explanation to put meaning and order and possibilities there. And then to kind of turn the page and empower and look towards the best of your life, the rest of your life.
I mean, the words that you speak and the way you speak it, you don't need solar energy. You don't need Times Square electricity. You could just power Times Square. No joke. You're energetic. If we could harness it, then we can just light it up with that. That's how much energy comes out of every ounce of how you show up. So let me ask you this, because I want to, we're speaking to people right now who are listening, and their hearts are open, but then their ego's listening too, right? So we're kind of talking to both pieces of that constructed ego and then the real self. So you said something earlier a few minutes ago, which was about how it's all spiritual, right? And I love that. You're like, the money, the whatever. And when Jen Sincero was on the show, who wrote these You Are a Badass books, I thought it was interesting that she said, the reason people don't have the money that they want, let's just use money. She goes, they don't give themselves permission to be rich because there's so much shame associated with having a lot. And when you said all these things before about you could do this and you could do that, and then you use the word selfishly, and you could say that the way you were talking, you said it in a spiritual way, right? And right. There's so much conditioning of shame in the way that the ego has learned certain things about the universe, which are not true, that there's this feeling of who everyone else is gonna think, who is she to think that she should have, that she should receive, and so when it comes to that, right? When it comes to opening your arms, to having plenty, to enjoying plenty, right? Whatever it is, the sunsets, the money, the sushi, the good friends, that space, Mike, of receivership, that space of allowing in, receiving, I'm telling you from speaking to millions of people now, there is a door on that, which is the resistance of shame.
Yeah. So it's heartbreaking.
So how do you help people understand when they're standing in that part of their ego that believes that it's actually spiritual to have and enjoy?
Yeah, well, these are really primitive times, spiritually speaking, Cathy, that we chose to be in. We are literally the pioneers. Our civilization is moving from pitch darkness with spiritual understanding as the light into the light. And right now the light is coming on. Your show, my work, there's people who are dishing out the truth. And when people hear the truth for the first time, like they just saw the Secret DVD the first time, or read the book, or everybody kind of remembers their first time, oh my God, I knew it. I knew it. It's like putting on a new garment, and it looks really good, but it's challenging everything that you've ever thought of before. But the great news is you can go gently, you can go incrementally, and you ought to go looking for the evidence of this new kind of world order, what I'm saying and what your other guests are saying. It's like the truth is there. We live in a holographic universe where our thoughts become things. And it's not like the old days, which are still around us right now, but where we used our physical senses alone to interpret reality. You know, caveman, cavewoman, I'm on the island. There's only so many coconuts. That's the currency. And if I get one single more coconut before the end of the day, it's at the expense of someone else. And
Exactly.
somebody's going down because I got more coconuts. That means somebody got less. We're moving into an era where we realize, this is the age of Aquarius, this is what it means. We realize that there's so much more going on than the physical senses will ever know about. And the fact is, me getting more coconuts, me having my cake and eating it too, will actually illuminate the darkened paths of others, serve as inspiration. It's their thoughts that become the things and events of their life, my thoughts that become the things and events of my life. And so suddenly we realize that it's not a sin to be happy or to be abundant or to be rich or to be decadent. You know, you're going to build your boat or your yacht, you're going to employ 100 or 1,000 or 2,000 people. And we're in a system where there is no waste, which is hard to comprehend. But it is a system of thoughts, and there is eternal energy, and it's pouring through me right now as it pours through all of us right now. So incrementally, I would say to these folks, take steps in these directions. You don't have to go from being totally selfless to being totally decadent. Show yourself through example that as you prevail and little dreams here and there come true, you're actually going to be helping those you love. And they're going to have a leg up, and they're going to be basking in your glory, and they're going to go to London with you, and they're going to be inspired to do it themselves. And we get this momentum going where what the world will look like, Cathy, and I think even 100 years is unrecognizable to where we are today. Truly, the lights are coming on. Truly, and we see a lot of clawing back. No, I like the good old days. You know, there were no good old days compared to where we're going. There's going to be camaraderie, cooperation, joy, nobody going hungry, nobody going without a roof, support. It's going to be what it was meant to be, heaven on earth. But we just chose to show up early. We are really the pioneers. We are the stuff legends are being born with. And it'll be, wow, back then it was really the wild, wild west. Can you imagine how scary it must have been thinking that you were God's guinea pig? Or thinking that there was no God, or thinking that you were all alone, or thinking it was just your might and your willpower that would make stuff happen, not knowing the magic, not knowing the metaphysics. It's like, this is this time of legend making, and it's happening all over, and there's enough for everyone. That's the beauty of it.
Well, it's amazing. It's incredible. Let me ask you this about that, because I'm curious your thought. I mean, I'm hearing what you're saying, and I feel it. You know, I can feel that all of a sudden the biggest parts of the bookstore are the sort of spiritual development and awakening, like, right? That used to be like there was one book. So I
there
get
used to
it.
be the occult section, you know,
right.
It was black magic.
Right. And there's yoga studios on every corner. And I'm also this is why I wanted to ask you, because I'm thinking, well, I was a comparative religion major in college, and I know that, like, you know, Southeastern Asian tradition, which has so many of these truths, is like 5,000 years old. And I know that Kabbalah is like 3,000 years old, and it's all in there. So if those are thousands of years old, why do we think that it's new right now? And if it's not new and it was then the other question, I guess, is then why would we be getting it now and not then?
There's a couple of tracks for those answers. First, the real woo-woo, which escapes me a little bit, but I've heard so much about it that really it's about vibration, planetary vibration, the citizens of the planet, everything about this physical world that we now live in. Vibrations are rising. Hence, it was predictable, the age of Aquarius, the end of the Mayan calendar for the beginning of a brand new one. It's really exciting. They could kind of peg it long ago, the wise ancient seers, and realize that the evolution of consciousness would ride along in tandem with the evolution of the vibratory energy of planet Earth that makes it much more conducive right now. I told you this is the woo-woo answer. Much more conducive right now to awaken to truth and to see what's been there all along.
No, you blew my mind, because I'll just interject this one thought, which is, so I'm Jewish and studied world religion and spent some time in Spain, and then went to Jerusalem for a couple years. And one of the like mainstream ideas in Talmudic thought is that God said to Abraham, you, on the Jewish calendar, you have 6,000 years to either help create ethical, beautiful truths by sending Moses up the mountain and down the mountain. And if you don't, in 6,000 years, I'll just do it for you. I'll just create a messianic era. That's a mainstream, at least a Jewish thought. Well, on the Hebrew calendar, for what it's worth, it's right now 5,700 and something. We're literally, I'm just putting that together. That, like, because I don't think about that very often, but like it goes in line with what you said. It's just yet another example in the line of what you just said.
And I would add, I don't even think it's going to be 300 years. I mean, it's happening at just a breakneck speed right now. And the more plain spoken answer is very simply, apart from the kind of evolution of what works and what doesn't work. What's that?
My mind is blown, because I never really appreciated that and understood what the hell that meant until now. Like that's
and then it dovetails with the Mayan calendar, and it dovetails with Nostradamus, and it dovetails with Book of Revelation. It's like, holy crap. It's thrilling, because we're emerging from the darkness. It's not, and while it looks like people are going crazier than ever, those are the vocal minority clawing back the old ways, whereas everyone else is moving into the light. This is the most exciting time, to my discernment, to be alive in recorded history. Literally, like these days, this year, this decade, hallelujah. I mean, this is like better than a Friday moving into the weekend. Fridays are even better than the weekend. Like right now, we're on a Friday moving into hallelujah. There's love everywhere.
I am so lit up. Go ahead.
I think it's also plainly a function of the evolution of consciousness, in the sense of what works, what doesn't work. War doesn't work. Anger and futility and violence don't work. And as we have emerged from the millennia, however many scientists want to debate we've been here, we are slowly getting wiser, spiritually and technologically. We're jettisoning kind of the dogma that entrapped us. It used to be, if you were spiritual, you were religious. And those two don't always go along, believe it or not. Sometimes the more of one you are, the less of the other you are. But we didn't know that. But we're slowly learning that and combine that. And I like to point out to audiences, in the height of our naiveties and total ignorance about the nature of reality, we still thrive. Speaking to our inclination to thrive, we still smile more than we frown, even though we're stupid, spiritually speaking. We still have space stations. We're so inclined to thrive. It's our divine nature. Now, with where we're at, and internet and technology, and this program being heard all over the world, good ideas that are resonant with truth, as we said at the outset, light one up. And so this program can go out and light up 100,000 people, 1 million people, word of mouth, and these energies kind of connect in the unseen. And my work and your work and The Secret and Rhonda's and Gabby's and everybody's critical mass. That's what's going on. And that's why it's taken this long, but it was projectable by the prophecy makers, who pretty much all pinpointed it. It's like, holy crap. It's here. This
is the medicine that people need, right? Right now, everybody's looking for medication and how are you going to get through a pandemic? It's this, like, they can just replay the last 7 minutes over and over and over again. You'll be great. I just had Deepak Chopra here, and he said the same thing. He goes, wasn't this amazing? Do you know how much innovation is coming out of this pandemic? I'm so excited. And I'm just like, what planet are you on? Like, you're not watching CNN? You haven't heard? He's like, it's so exciting. It's so healing. It's so amazing. Like, holy crap. Like, it really has, what hologram are you living in? And it's so beautiful. So I want to talk about a couple things so that people can hear it. First of all, you have a conference coming up, the Infinite Possibilities Certification Virtual Conference, and you have this Infinite Possibilities membership. That is such an exciting phrase, infinite possibilities. We've been talking about it. We've been talking about it in 16 different angles. And there are people who still, no matter how much they listen, they'll get pumped up and then they go right back into, but see, Mike doesn't know me. So when he said thoughts become things, and I really want to be a star on TV, he doesn't know that I'm overweight, I'm 69, I live far away from California, and blah, 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 blah. He doesn't realize that people say this all the time. Cathy, the reality is, right? And it's like, I know you and I have just spent 40 minutes to saying this, but they have to hear it on all these different ways. So what do you mean that there are infinite possibilities when people say, but the reality is, you don't get it. You don't know my limitations. What do you say to them?
Well, just what we were saying earlier,
Yep.
If you don't use that opportunity for pattern interrupt to create a picture in your mind, even though it contrasts the world around you, then you can't move into that realm. Your thoughts become things. So whatever you focus on, you get more of, not what you want, not what you need. So the ultimate hook that makes it the adventure that it is that we are tasked with creating images in our mind of what we want to experience, even while the world around us shows us the exact opposite and doesn't seem to budge in spite of our creating that image. But the hook is you honor and pay homage to that image in your mind. You choose words that dress up that image in your mind. You choose behavior every day that honors the image in the mind as much as you have to put out fires in your life. And just for the little bit of effort, the baby steps you take, for every one, the universe takes 10,000. And while at first it doesn't show up, the same thing in a GPS guided car. You're going down roads you never saw before. This isn't your destination. It's not working for you, is it? No, it is. You don't see the miracles until after you arrive. And so you've got to hold on to the vision in spite of circumstances, dress it up, pay homage to it, be base and predicate your behavior off of the dream, and then it changes. So the person who says, the reality is like, yes, that's how well it works. You're not changing. You're on the same channel as you were, and it has to stay there. The hook is create the change within, even though it doesn't change without, honor it within, and then the world will catch up.
And what about people who will say, but I've done this. I've listened to Esther Hicks 1,000 times. I read every note from the universe, and I've been doing it, and it's been 19 years, and the evidence is that it doesn't work, and I'm still single, and I'm still this, and I'm still that. So where are they at? What's happening?
Oh my gosh. Well, I meet very few of such people, but I will tell, and rarely to that degree, okay? But I would still say the reason it hasn't shown up yet is because you had other priorities, you had other objectives, you had other fears. We have 60,000 thoughts a day, and you can't say it doesn't work because Romeo didn't show up yet. He might be coming tomorrow, but the day you say it's not working, the universe is like, I heard you the first 7,416 times. We're all over it. It's not going to work. You can't, there is a place to share with a certain someone when you're really down and you're at the end of your rope, or a psychologist or a coach. There's a place to share and make comments. It's not working. What's wrong with me? But if you're telling every Tom, Dick, and Harry that it's broken, it doesn't work for you, it will never work for you. And so just that it hasn't shown up yet doesn't mean it's not going to show up tomorrow. Distract yourself, work on other things. Don't label yourself because you've wanted it and still don't have it. Doesn't mean that there's self-sabotage involved. Like I said, it could be other priorities or needs. There's, this is why I have, 17 books. There's a lot of tangents, but still, I wouldn't want anybody to think, yeah, there's a lot of tangents and that's an understatement. It's like, no, there's so much wiggle room. You can get 99% of what I teach wrong and still succeed. You don't have to even create a visualize. If you're consistently making efforts in the direction with full responsibility for all that's ever happened, and a desire to understand the nature of reality, you will thrive, you will soar. It's just a matter of time.
Mm. So tell us about this conference. So what does it mean that it's a certification? Explain so people can listen and sign up.
Oh, well, I've got a program I do now virtually with COVID once a year called the Infinite Possibilities Certification Program. And it was born of my book, Infinite Possibilities, The Art of Living Your Dreams, when I was doing its debut book signing tour every day, a city for 10 days. And it did make New York Times. I was out in Portland and smoking a cigar, waiting for my publisher to take me to the Baghdad Theater for a talk and book signing. And I came across a homeless woman, and I just didn't know what to do. I kept on walking. She didn't look up. She was reading by a street light. And I had this inner feeling, go back. Sometimes it's better to give unasked. Those are words of Khalil Gibran. And so I went back, offered her $20. She looked up, and a shudder of horror went through me to see that she was like a teenager. And I remember thinking, don't you know you're powerful? Don't you know you have options? And I'm not disrespecting, street life. That's fine. It could be a good life. But when you know the possibilities that await all of us, this doesn't look like a first choice. And I simultaneously realized she hasn't been reached. She doesn't know how powerful she is. And so I got home from that program. I created this Infinite Possibilities certification, a replicable program to help people like me reach those who have not yet been reached, people who are aware. And in the meantime, it's turned into a speaker's platform, a coach's training place, as well as giving folks the ability to go into shelters and in prisons to reach those who have not yet been reached. Most of all, it's for anybody who wants to better understand the interplay between thoughts, imagination, beliefs, intuition, emotions, relationships. And as an option, some folks take it on and start delivering it to the world for fee or for free.
That's so cool. We'll put links to it in the show notes. And speaking of show, it's the data shows that people listen to podcasts will listen to more podcasts. And so you have this podcast, Spiritual Tune-Ups. Tell us about that podcast. Like, what do you love about doing it? And what can people expect when they listen?
Thanks for asking. Well, from the beginning of COVID, now 2 years, I started broadcasting every day on Facebook and Instagram.
Every day?
5 or 10, every weekday, 5 to 10 minutes. Oh, and basically I answer folks' questions. And it was COVID in the beginning, and how do you take action when there's, social distancing. But now it's about everything under the sun. I'm still doing it every day. It's free on Facebook or Instagram. But at the end of a week of 5, Monday through Friday, we package them up as a podcast.
Well,
and we do a weekly drop. So it's been fun. And it was number 1 in Botswana 2 weeks ago, I'm proud to say. Number 1 spiritual podcast in Botswana, number 1 in Malta a few days ago. And so that's what we're doing. We're putting my daily spiritual tune-ups into podcasts.
Oh my God. It's just so good. Everybody feels good right now. Like if we've been sitting here listening and experiencing what we've been hearing, which there's no way not to, everyone is just feeling so aligned. It's awesome.
Well, thank you so much, Cathy, for this opportunity, for letting me go on, for letting me get myself psyched up, because,
I could sit here for the rest of time and just keep calibrating to it. It's so good. So tell us where we can follow you and where we can sign up for Notes from the Universe.
.com, TUT.com is my domain name. That's my main offering to the world, has been for 21 years, the free daily Notes from the Universe. They go out Monday through Friday. And they're short little reminders from the divine about how powerful you are, how beautiful the world is, a tiny twitch of humor here and there. It's the universe talking to you, sharing and reminding you of the dreams you entered in your profile. Yeah, if people go to tut.com, they can find out more about anything else if they feel so moved.
Oh my gosh, it's so good. This was so awesome. Thank you. You're the best, Mike. You're awesome. Thank you. God
Thoughts
bless
become
you.
things.